Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Peter Isesele and I have a very special guest with me today. Will you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hello everyone, my name is Omozojie Paul Aigbogun. You must have seen myself from the previous video. Still, you don't have to really come and say, no, I'm going to stay in, I'm trying to stay only in the zone I was in before. The world is big, but it's small at the same time.
Absolutely.
So try to enjoy different cultures. At my university, we have this, I actually never went for that event. There's an event called, what's it called? It's like a multicultural event where different cultures, Indian, Chinese, they'll cook food, they'll bring.
I used to volunteer for like all of those programs. I will eat all the food. I will eat Nigerian food.
So your volunteer was to eat the food?
Well, we volunteer and that gives you more access to good that gives you more access to good food, so volunteer. No. Like I mean, we're going to talk about that in the later part of the video. You know, it's such a fantastic way to also volunteer. But
how you community before you go on community? We've talked about community mostly outside school. What about in school, like in your program? How you did really get involved in the community, get to meet other grad students, postdocs, other professors. Like, what did you do to be involved?
So there are a couple of things that you can do, or that there are platforms, right? For example, the department, they organize. I think one of the most common way to kind of relate with other people in the department is through departmental seminar. Okay, so maybe we used to have it like maybe every Friday around 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. or something like that. So everybody go there, a particular master student or PhD student present, and then after presenting, then everybody just hang out. So, because everybody is always busy in their lab, so that time is really when I get to meet people. And then there is also every, university, they have departmental association, so whether PhD or master student, I mean, whatever we're saying, it applies to grad student anywhere in the world, whether US, Canada, UK, Germany. It applies to the same. They have this association, and then you can participate in them. I mean, when they organize event, most of the time you don't see a lot of grad students because everybody is forming and busy. So actually you can create your time, work your schedule around going for those events. So don't say all those things don't matter, I don't have time. I mean, I was an event coordinator of my biochemistry graduate society in my second year. It was fascinating that when you organize events, sometimes you don't see a lot of grad students, right? But it's good, engage in that, and then other times, when you go out, you just meet other students in the hallway. It's really great to say, hey, how you doing? I mean, introduce yourself to them.
I have this, sorry to cut you. I have this kind of like unwritten rule I do. If I see a student 3, 4, 5 times in the hallway near my lab, I don't know them, I've never spoken with them. If I see them a couple of times, I feel like I need to approach them and say hi and get to know them, so as soon as I see them again, I can say hi, because it becomes, I feel uncomfortable that I'm seeing them frequently and I don't know them. So when I see students at least 4 or 5 times around, I don't do it all the time, but I try to approach like, hey, I've been seeing you around. Nice to meet you. My name is Paul. What's your name? Then we'll get going. Then anytime I see them, it's no longer like awkward encounter. Then I know them. Then sometimes they actually invite me for events in their departments or their programs. So hey, we have this event going on. Yeah,
it can feel very lonely. So it's those people you meet, those friends you meet. They're the ones that will come and drag you out to, because maybe some of them have been there for like a year. They probably know a lot of places and fun places to go, right? So make sure you build that community, within.
Volunteer.
Yes.
As Peter said, volunteer. I volunteered a lot. I still volunteer now. Those were the moments I cherish most, and I still cherish them. Because research, can be challenging, can be tough, can be tasking. You need, for me, it's like when I take time off research, sometimes on weekends. I volunteered one time to be a judge for a high school debate competition.
I think I did that about 3 times.
Yeah, it was so much fun. High school students would come, they would debate. I just put my post-research away. I just had so much fun listening to high school students debate different things. Now I had like a rubrics for judging. I volunteered for Let's Talk Science. frequently. I volunteered in the department. I volunteered for chemistry night. I went to help my prof present research to encourage undergrad students to come do research.
Yeah.
I've one of my biggest
We call that biochemistry mixer.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so we try to lobby. So maybe as masters and PhD students, so you go to those mixer and then you tell them about your research so that they can come into the lab like as summer students, you know, to come do some research in the lab. So it's always a fantastic way. Like people at some point, people used to call me chief volunteer because two of us will be planning to go to a program, and then by the time you go there, you see that you are in the audience. Me, I'm at the back doing some volunteer. There is, I can't count like maybe one or two places that I didn't volunteer in Newfoundland, like almost every weekend. Like I'm going to share my volunteering resume with you guys one day. It is so much. When I applied for one award, then when I showed my supervisor my volunteer, she was like, "What? Why did you have time to do all of this?" I was like, "I've been very strategic in my that." But I met a lot of people. I volunteered with the Graduate Students Union. I met with the university president and different deans, just having chats, in Senate meetings, and I used to attend faculty meetings. I just, you don't have to provide like an expert idea, but just listening to those brilliant conversations and how official meeting is run is just so fantastic.
One of the volunteer I did that helps, like you talk about meeting people, I volunteered for a group called Women in Chemistry that was working towards EDI, Equity, Diversity and Inclusion, and we had to host a conference in Quebec called Logic Overcoming Gender Inequality in Chemistry, and they sponsored my trip to Quebec. And I volunteered there. I helped them design the website before I went to Quebec. I went there, volunteered with seating arrangement, everything. It was amazing opportunity, amazing experience. And I met a couple of people. The one of my friend I met there is currently in the US at I think he's in UC Berkeley. And I reached out to him like a while back, like with questions about something, and he's provided so much valuable insight for me. He's like, let's meet, let's discuss. And he's someone I met at a conference while volunteering, right? So you meet people. I met someone else who's actually now in University of, I think Queen's University of Toronto, and we talk once in a while. So one thing about volunteering, you meet people, you get to experience different things. You meet people at when you volunteer.
Let me tell you one funny. When I was in Newfoundland, there's one funny description they used to give to me. They would say, "There is no Nigerian that don't know Peter." In Newfoundland, they would say, "No. There is no Nigerian," because you will see me everywhere. It's such a fantastic. And actually, when I applied for my PhD, it was actually one of the women that I that I volunteered with. That actually now acted as my reference when I was applying for my PhD. So because I just called her. She was like, sometimes even she just called me directly. "Peter, we had this event coming up. Do you mind? It can be as little as going to sort out clothes. We go so maybe like 10 minutes." And with this woman, I was actually able to meet other family because she always come and pick me and say, "Hey, let's go meet this family," right? She invited me to her place sometime. We had dinner. Fantastic experience, right?
It is therapeutic. Volunteering is therapeutic.
Absolutely.
I can't stress because I see one same Jokunonso did volunteer a lot when Jokunonso is a friend of ours who's doing his PhD at the University of Toronto, and we talk about this all the time. Like it helps us when we leave the lab, when we are done with the lab and we do all that stuff. It actually helps us think about something else. Because if one thing about us is, if we're not, for example, working on a YouTube channel or thinking about something else, you can get trapped into thinking about research all the time. You're thinking about this reaction, this experiment, how do I do this? And a lot of times your best time of creativity is when you take time off and then come back to it. You'll be able to troubleshoot much better.
Absolutely. It is fantastic, you learn a lot of things. I think if we continue to talk about, we're not going to end this video, right? So let's quickly just talk about winter. Winter, it's a lot of things to learn about winter. One of the things, so winter, it can go, from, it starts coming down from 4 degrees to 3 degrees to 1 to 0, -5, -10, -20. Sometimes we see -30, right? And it's really cool.
And you do see -40 sometimes.
Oh my goodness, Just imagine sleeping and waking up. And I remember there was a winter storm. And one thing is that sometimes when there is winter storm means there is so much of snow and it affects visibility and everything. Sometimes they just shut down school for that day. We've maybe about 2 or 3 times in Newfoundland. They say, no, this is dangerous to tell students to come to school this day.
Yeah.
The very first winter snowstorm that I had, so I just went outside. I was jumping inside the snow. So when I told my supervisor that, she's like, oh, what did you do during the snow? So I told her I went outside, She was like, oh, I should have called you so that you come and help me to pack my snow. Help me to pack my snow. Since we're playing in the snow, you can help me to pack the snow, right? So it's just make sure you get the right. Don't expose yourself to cold.
Buy thermal wear. Also, it's also called long johns. You wear in just under beneath your main clothes, and it just helps to keep you warm. It traps the heat in your body and helps to keep you warm. If you're going to be going out and you have to maybe take the bus, make sure your phone is fully charged. So the battery is not dead, so in case of an emergency you can actually make a call. I had an experience. Fortunately, I had an extra phone. I went to actually buy a new phone. December. When I just came this December. I went to buy a new phone, and on my way back, so my old phone, I think I was giving it to someone. I was sending it to. I can't remember what I was going to do with the old phone. But on my way back, the old phone which I was holding, I just came out from the building and it just died. It went from like maybe 60% or 70 to just like 0.
Man.
Apparently it was so cold, it just killed the battery. So I think I had to like maybe go in or so and figure out my way, but you don't be stranded. If you are driving, make sure you winterize your car, you buy the winter stuff, winter tires.
Mostly.
If you're going to travel, for example, during winter while driving, you want to make sure you have like a blanket, have a snack, have there are different, go on YouTube, there are channels, people that post about how to winterize your car. So make sure, because if anything happens, you want to have something that can keep you warm, because the cold is very terrible. You want to keep yourself warm at all times.
Absolutely. One of the things I also want to talk about is when you come, you're going, most times that you get phone plans. But when I came, I didn't have money to buy. I had a phone actually, but I wanted to get a new phone and I didn't have that money to buy a new phone, So I already had a credit card then, so they're just going to set you up, and then you can be paying for the phone. They can give you like a 2 years contract, and then you can be paying the phone and for your internet and every month, right? So that way you don't have to spend like $300-400 buying a phone at once, right? So you can be paying the phone every month. So that's also something very important.